Vegeta is known for his huge character development arc, which occurred at multiple key moments throughout the entirety of Dragon Ball Z, GT, and Super. One of those areas that Vegeta improved at was becoming a better father to Trunks. But it wasn't always that way. There was a long time in Trunks' life, not just a slice of life episode, but around 8 years where Vegeta was a poor father to Trunks. He wasn't even a dad to him, where if you unfortunately have to imagine someone neglecting their child up until they were 8 years old, you would think that's almost irredeemable no matter how good you do after, because that's a long time for a child, the most important years of childhood. When we were introduced to baby Trunks in the Android saga, Vegeta didn't care about him or Bulma's safety. He only cared about his Super Saiyan power at that point. That's a terrible move as a father right at the beginning. When Vegeta learned about future Trunks being his son, the only bond of connection they shared was through strength and being strong fighters. The first time Vegeta got it through his head about who Trunks really was and how important he was upon Trunks' death at the hands of Cell. Vegeta's rampage was the first moment of realization and the turning point of Vegeta's perception towards his own son and as a father. When Vegeta gave a goodbye to future Trunks, a change could be seen in Vegeta's openness, but as a father, he was far from making up lost time and the hill was still huge to climb. The father bug in Vegeta was growing in the Buu saga, but Vegeta's stubbornness and pride would prevent that emotional attachment from forming further until the events of Majin Vegeta's sacrifice. Vegeta didn't train Kid Trunks at all in those 7 years. Trunks trained alongside Vegeta and got stronger on his own, which was why Vegeta became surprised at the Super Saiyan bargain sale. He proceeded to punch Trunks and promised a trip to the park, but he doesn't even follow up on the promise until episode 2 of Dragon Ball Super, where he tells Bulma about the promise he made to Trunks in the gravity room during the Buu saga that he needs to fulfill. Episode 2 of Dragon Ball Super was a few years after the Buu saga, so a father's promise to go to the park was delayed for that number of years. That may be a script error, but go back and watch episode 2 and you will see the flashbacks and the episode don't do Vegeta's parenting any justice in the long run. Just going to the park comes across as a chore for Vegeta. He still had little interest in being with Trunks unless it was to feel proud about him beating Goku's child, Goten, at the 25th Tenkaichi Budokai, and even then, Vegeta took more of the credit that it was because of his own genetics. He lived the battle through Trunks to fulfill his own desire of being better and best in Kakarot. In some way, the hug before Vegeta died doesn't exactly make him Father of the Year either. We can't ignore the first 8 years of Trunks' life just like that because of one hug. This is Vegeta making a good change, but still an overall terrible father to Trunks, despite Trunks being upset when Vegeta was hurt. That was more to do with Trunks and his connection that he felt towards Vegeta, not the one that Vegeta showed Trunks. Still far from being a real dad right now. Now I know I've mentioned episode 2 of Dragon Ball Super and also the fact Vegeta looked like he was just putting up with the whole day rather than actually enjoying it with his son, but after this moment it's a constant improvement, at least towards Bulla when she's born. There isn't much slice of life between Kid Trunks and Vegeta in Dragon Ball Super, only the inclination that he cares about their safety by not wanting the boys to compete in the Tournament of Power, and the care for his son was prioritized over being strong. During the end of Z and also during GT, Vegeta showed a strict attitude towards Trunks about cutting his allowance in half. It's more to keep Trunks on the sensible path. He's doing it out of love at that point, and I feel this is when Vegeta is truly a dad, at least when it comes to your kids being older. Trunks is much older and he's being spoken to like a man. As mentioned earlier with Vegeta making up for lost time, I feel his bond with Bulla comes into play regarding this. He goes above and beyond for her. You can see that when she's born in Dragon Ball Super, and you definitely see it in Dragon Ball GT. However, the balance with Bulla was off and she became spoilt beyond belief. She was Vegeta's little princess. Needless to say, Vegeta in GT was a peak father, the grumpy loving dad with a mustache. The bond he shares with future Trunks in the Goku Black Arc of Dragon Ball Super is one based on respect more than love. Vegeta showed a difference of connection to him than to Kid Trunks. It was more distant. Vegeta really didn't want to get involved with another timeline, but he still gets some points there as a family man. Vegeta definitely has one of the greatest developments in Dragon Ball, it's obvious, but is Vegeta a good father overall? Up to the point in the story where we are at, it's a yes and no. Yes, because in Super and GT, even the end of Z, Vegeta did become a better father than the earlier years, prioritizing the children more than he ever did before. An honorable mention to his battle with Toppo, that was great, and that solidified where Vegeta's head is in terms of his commitment. So technically, yes, he is a good father now, but it's also a no because if you put Vegeta's entire history as a father on a timeline, there's a huge red line through the first 8 years of Trunks' life life, making the overall father score pretty low, where Trunks only got 1 hug in 8 years, which tells you a lot about Vegeta's effort regardless of how proud he felt about Trunks. What you feel is nowhere near as important as how you show it. Vegeta wasn't a good father or dad to Trunks at all in his early life, but he became a better father over time and eventually became peak dad in Dragon Ball GT.